Happy Trades wanted to do a video analysis update of Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Okay, so to analyze Apple and Microsoft and Amazon, what we're first going to have to do is look at where the leaders in this market are going. Okay, so here's the NASDAQ. As you can see, we broke to a new all-time high today. Okay, so that confirms that this movement was all consolidation. This long sideways consolidation is what classical traders are going to call a large base. Okay, so what they're going to do is they're just going to draw their large base around this, and they're going to say that this was all consolidation. We have built a price floor, and now we have the energy for a sustained move to the upside. Okay, so from an Andrews pitchfork perspective, if we look at Google, this is the low in June, this is the high in September, and this is the low in September. We can see that if you took the length of this move and placed it at the low of September, that Google has reached the median of this pitchfork, and it has also reached the equal legs target. So on the NASDAQ QQQ, you can recreate that exact same pitchfork by taking the low from June, the high from September, and the low from September, and you can form a beautiful Andrews pitchfork, just like Google's, where we have really nice reactions on the median, we have really nice reactions on the lower bound, and we're expecting, just like Google, that the NASDAQ is going to go to the equal legs target as well as the median of the pitchfork. And so we are expecting that the NASDAQ is going to swing higher so that QQQ reaches 326 sometime around mid-January. Okay, I just did a video on QQQ. Please go back and watch that. But the only reason we're talking about QQQ is because we're about to talk about Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Okay, so to talk about Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, what do we have to do? We have to look at Tesla. Okay, so Tesla is a really great example of two things. One, the Andrews pitchfork. But two, another principle that I want to kind of introduce in this video is the concept of hidden divergence with the relative strength index. Okay, so a lot of people know the relative strength index and the concept of divergence, and they're using it, kind of at the highs and the lows to predict major trend changes. Okay, as we know as technical traders, it's a lot more common that a trend will continue in the same direction than that it will end. Okay, so hidden bullish divergence is great for when a stock is already in an uptrend and price makes a higher low, but the RSI makes a lower low. Okay, and what that signals is that the uptrend will continue. Okay, so price makes a higher low, the relative strength index makes a lower low, and that confirms that the trend is going to continue. I have a few examples, but first let's talk about like the psychology of this. Okay, so what this is kind of saying, it's always good to know your why with technical analysis. It is taking a lot more energy for sellers to push price down. Okay, that's why the relative strength index is making a lower low, but they're not being able to accomplish much of a result because price is making a higher low, but they're taking more strength as sellers to push price down, but not as far as the relative strength index. Okay, so price is making a higher low, the relative strength index is making a lower low, and this is confirming that the bullish trend will continue. Okay, so I've got a few examples for you guys in this little folder. So the first one we're going to look at is Moderna. Moderna is going to show that a pretty cool thing about this concept is that you can kind of visualize the upside potential for your next trade. Okay, so Moderna is making a higher low in price, but then the relative strength index is making a much, lower low. And I emphasize much because that's a large divergence, right? So from an Elliott wave, standpoint, we were counting this a 1-2, 1-2, and so this would have really lined up with our wave count that we were getting ready to go into a large wave 3 move to the upside. Okay, so as price made a higher low, the relative strength index made a lower low, and that confirmed the continuation of a trend. Okay, so here's another cool example. This is Cloudflare. Okay, so price makes a higher low, but the relative strength index makes a much lower low. So as technical traders, that tells us it took the sellers a lot more strength to push price down, but they weren't able to accomplish as much as of a result relative to the amount of strength that they use. Okay, one last example. We're going to look at Ethereum just to show this works on all asset classes. So price makes a higher low in Ethereum, but the relative strength index makes a lower low, and the trend continues. Okay, let's go on to our charts. Another reason we're talking about Tesla is because on Apple, you can recreate this exact same pitchfork by taking the low from March with the high in September and the low in September. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We see these reactions on the median of the pitchfork. We see these reactions on the lower bound. And then as soon as price gets away from the pitchfork, we go right back to the lower bound. We go right back to the median. Okay? Also, of note that Tesla has now gone to the length of the move from late June to early September, placed at the September low. So that's a pretty interesting tidbit when we look at price targets for some of these other FANG stocks, that you could take the entire length of the move from 626 to September 2nd in Tesla, place it at the September low, and we are at that equal legs target. So, in the back of our minds, when we look at all of these other stocks, we're not just expecting them to make a new high. We're not just expecting them to reach what I would call right here the first, equal legs target. So that's why 600. That's why 550 was the first equal legs target, and then the length of this move was the second. But that some of these stocks like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon are actually going to go, a little further out. Okay. What we're also going to want to note is that if you take the low in Tesla from March, connect it with the high in September and the low in September, we're at the median of that pitchfork. That's really important to realize, because now we're going to look at Apple. Okay, so Apple is actually the first stock in this video that I'm actually going to make a projection for and analyze. Okay, so that right there should show you we've looked at 3 stocks before we've even looked at the Apple chart, before we've even looked at the Amazon chart, before we even looked at the Microsoft chart, because you need to analyze the stock market as one stock market, as a whole, right? If Google and Tesla and QQQ and SPY and Advanced Micro Devices are all above the September 2nd high, and Apple and Nvidia and Microsoft and Amazon and Facebook made that exact same September 2nd high too, then when we look at these charts and ask which way they're going to consolidate, we have a lot of evidence it's to the upside. Okay, so the stock market's not going to crash until some of this unfinished business to the upside in these other FANG stocks like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, even Netflix gets above the September high, and as we just saw with Tesla, likely a lot higher than the September high. Okay, but let's look at Apple. We have a completed ABC correction, a wave 1, a wave 2, and then we closed above the high of wave 1. So Apple has just confirmed that this was a wave 2 correction, and we are now starting a third wave higher. Okay, so wave 3 is explosive, wave 3 is fast, wave 3 is not a lot of pullbacks, and wave 3 catches a lot of people off guard. It's also followed by a wave 4, which is generally pretty short, and then a wave 5 higher. So if we look at this Apple chart, the equal legs target is all the way to 155. Okay, so 155, 150, 152 is our January target range for Apple. It could happen, quicker than that if we have this melt up scenario, into the end of the year, which is definitely still possible. But our January target for Apple is that it will reach 150, 152, 155 by mid-January, late January, and that's because this move is 5 weeks, and we have started a wave 3 from this low, and we're rolling right now. We're going to do exactly what AMD and Google and Tesla have done. We're going to break above this high, and we're likely going to go a lot higher. We have beautiful reactions on the median of this pitchfork. We're heading back to the lower bound, and we're going to head back to the median of this pitchfork. So more important than my price target for Apple is that the low from March and the high in September and the low in September make a beautiful pitchfork, and I'm expecting the median to be reached. Okay, so Apple above 150 is definitely what we're expecting. For now, let's just make sure that this low of 120 holds. As long as Apple's above 120, we're expecting it to continue higher into the 150, 155 range. I'm not quite sure I would chase Apple here. We were talking about Apple for a while in this range, but this is important to know because if you're a stock market bull, Apple is the largest holding of SPY, it's the largest holding of QQQ, it's the largest market cap stock in the world. Okay, if Apple's going to 150, and if Apple's definitely going above this high, that it made in September, I've got no reason to be, worried about a crash if I'm expecting Apple, to have unfinished business to the 150s. Okay, let's look at Microsoft now. Pretty good setup right here. Well, we talked about Microsoft in this range, and if we look, this is the same pitchfork that we have with Google. We have a really nice reaction right here on the median of this pitchfork. So that's what I really love about this Microsoft chart. Why I have a lot of confirmation is because we have a beautiful reaction on the median of this pitchfork, where the high of a daily candle makes a perfect contact with the median, gets rejected. We have these beautiful reactions on the lower bound, and now you can see right now we're heading back to the lower bound. This is a really nice pitchfork, okay? And we can actually connect multiple lows to get this same pitchfork. So don't say I'm cherry picking the low. We're using this low from 514. We could use this low. It's the same pitchfork. We could use this low, and it's still a really nice pitchfork. But this low from May 14th to the September high and the September low has a really nice reaction, and it's already proven to act as a magnet, and it's proven to act as resistance. So right now, if this low in Microsoft holds of 209, then we are expecting it's going to go to the lower bound of this pitchfork, and it's going to go to the median of this pitchfork. For a price target, we're going to take the length of this move and place it at this low, and that's going to take Microsoft to 252. Okay, so this is aligning with what we see is going to happen in Apple. Apple and Microsoft, Facebook and Amazon are all going to move together. But our Microsoft target is 252. The time target is that this move was from 528 to 92. So that gives 3 to 4 months. But this move is already in, its first or second month. So we're going to say 2 to 3 months from now, we're expecting that Microsoft will swing all the way to 252. Okay, so I'm thinking early February, mid-February, Microsoft is at 252. More importantly than the price target is that it's going to go to the lower bound of the pitchfork, and it's going to go to the median of the pitchfork, so long as 209 holds as the low. I love this pitchfork right here. We have really nice continuation divergence, like we talked about with Tesla, where if you take the relative strength index, it's making a lower low, but price is making higher lows. So that shows that it is taking sellers a lot more effort to push price down, not as much. Okay, so let's go to Amazon real quick. Amazon has been consolidating sideways for a very long time. It made the exact same high with the rest of the market, completed an ABC correction, an Elliott wave 1, an Elliott wave 2, and now if this low, if these lows of 3,019, 3,000 hold, we're expecting that Amazon is going to have a large swing to the lower bound of this pitchfork and the median of this pitchfork. So if we look at my chart right now, we can see that if Amazon went straight to the lower bound of this pitchfork, it would be well above 3,600. Okay, so we're going to be seeing Amazon above 3,600, I think, pretty quickly. So if we take the length of this move from 918 to 1012, that's what we're going to call our LA wave 1, place it at this low. I'll just delete these lines for a little bit. That's going to take Amazon to 3,600, 3,578 in the very near future. But remember, that's a very conservative target, because this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, so wave 3 is actually 1.618 times the length of wave 1. Okay, so we're expecting that Amazon is going to go to the lower bound of this pitchfork, is going to go to the median of this pitchfork. In the very short term, I think next 2-3 weeks, in the next month, at the max, we're going to see Amazon reach 3,578. But because that's a conservative target, we're just going to say that Amazon is going to reach 3,600 in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. It looks like from an LA wave perspective, it's completed an A, B, C correction. This is going to be our wave 1 higher, our wave 2 correction. Wave 3 will take us to 3,600 very soon.